So let's get started. We have also missed on one part earlier where we didn't talk about Elastic Beanstalk. We'd be talking about that and then integrating it with AWS Code Pipeline. So Elastic Beanstalk is just like your managed environment wherein you can go and manage your environment of a specific application. Consider it just like Lambda, with the difference that Lambda is serverless, so you do not actually define what is the machine type, what are the CPUs and the RAM. Rather, you just go and create a function which is running on a specific runtime, also known as a layer. Whereas inside Beanstalk, the same thing you are going to do, but you are going to use a EC2 instance, which is going to work on a specific instance type. So for that, you go and create an application first of all. So let's go by click on create application and name it something. I'm creating a worker environment. So what you can do ideally is you can go and create application from here. So let's say this, I am creating application by the name of server 10, let's say, and create. Once that is done, the application is ready. You also have to go and create an environment on top of it. So for that, you click on create environment. This is a worker environment. I am creating it for Node.js, which is on whatever version you want. You can go and put. I am taking 14 with a sample application, and it is on a single instance. Click on next. It will ask you for a role. Over here, I already have a role. So if you want, you can go and create a new one also. Like I have taken 10. I am choosing a key pair and a profile because obviously it has to go and work on the specific policies. So for that reason, I'm choosing an instance profile here as well. Click on next. Over here, whatever messages are coming from the queue, whatever the HTTP things are there, the configuration is already done, which basically is nothing but the load balancer because it is going to create the environment for you. So it is asking you for the details. Next, whatever VPC, if you have a database, I do not have a database, so it's fine for me. Next, what type of volume do you need? It's the same as your EC2 instance. So how many instances do you need? It would automatically be on-demand instances. What are the instance type that you need? So it will either put me micro or it will put a small for me, and I'm fine. Click on next. And then basically scroll down and click on next over here. This is for the logs if you need a specific runtime and things. And submit. Once this part is done, Beanstalk should automatically go and start to create the infrastructure for you. The primary thing for us would be inside our EC2, if you go, you would start to see a machine actually coming up now. That over here, if this once it starts to create, you will start to see that. So what it will do, first of all, it will create a S3 bucket where it can save the log data for you. Then it will create the environment for you. Then it will create the EC2 instance for you. Then it will create the security group for you. Multiple things are going to happen. Basically, whatever things happen, it will show up over here. This also is known as the event. So you creating beanstalk, deleting, adding security group, deleting, adding a specific bucket, removing it, everything at the end of the day is a simple event. So let's just wait for it to happen. So like you can see, IC2 instance is already here. The environment is still awaiting, and that's fine. It would keep on updating over here. You can refresh this also in case required. But eventually what is going to happen is, because we have gone for a managed environment, so if we go to this specific place and we open the specific public IP of this, we should be able to see some server coming up. The only thing is, if you see over here, it is only enabled for port number 22. So let's go and enable it for the port number that we expect to see. So one of the port number over here would be my, let's say, TCP or HTTP. Inside that HTTP, I am expecting to open it from anywhere. And next would be port number 5000. Why am I giving 5000? Because I am going to work on the pipeline next. So I am going to work on my specific code, that and alike code. If you remember, the same thing where we used it for our Docker image. That is what I had told you earlier also, that whatever I am going to do is going to work on this specific code only. So this one, the code number happens to be 5000. So what I am doing is, just in advance, I am also going and enabling port number 5000 for the specific uh, IP. So 5000, and I am saying that anyone can actually go and open it. So if you click on save rules over here, you go back and you click this, you should see something coming up. That's your beanstalk actually. Okay, that's one part of it. Now, there are various ways to see that. You can also go over here, click on environment over here, or click on applications here. Then you can click on this specific environment. It is going to go and give you the DNS name of it. Okay, so if in case you are interested, you can also go and look at the DNS name for it. So go to configuration. You can see that if you want to go and check the network, if you want to add it to a database, if you want to see the specific security group. The only thing is, you are not doing anything. Everything is directly being managed by AWS. Next, you can go to the events to see what all events occurred. You can go to health to see any health check. Logs, if you want to see, you can see that. You can see monitoring of CloudWatch. You already have the alarms. By the way, alarms can also be done via CloudWatch. Then you have the specific updates. And then finally, you have the tags. But any which ways, if everything is done, if you click on go to environment, it should basically open up a page for you. That page is nothing but the detail of your specific beanstalk application. So if you go to your this specific place, in some time it will start telling you the specific API or a specific endpoint for that. But we are fine, because at the end of the day, it is going to go and create a specific EC2 instance only. And if it is a EC2 instance, it will have a specific IP address also. So that IP address is actually coming up over here. You can go to details also over here, and you can select this and this IP address. So if you just open it like this, it should open up a application for you. That is Elastic Beanstalk. Now that Elastic Beanstalk thing has been done, next basically we have to go and work on the pipeline. So this is the place where we want to do the deployment. But at the end of the day, what should happen is, this should get updated by my specific application, whatever I am doing the deployment of the specific pipeline of the specific code. So let's start with AWS Code Pipeline. This is the CI/CD thing. This is going to be absolutely easy. The only thing is, people don't understand how it works, and that's the problem. So what we are going to do is go to settings. First of all, you would have to go and create a connection. In my case, a connection to GitHub is already done. However, required, if I want to do it, what I'll do, click on create connection. You can choose any one of them. Okay. Bitbucket, GitHub, Enterprise, in which you get GitLab also. If you want, you can go that also. So basically looking at that, you can understand that Bitbucket, GitHub is there. AWS is going to integrate GitLab also. Not right now, in another 2 months, it should be up and running, but they have started displaying it over there. In which case, if I had gone to GitHub, I had called it as connection to, I would have clicked on connect to GitHub. It would have automatically opened up a page over here where you have to go and install a new application. Okay. Once you click on new application, it will automatically take you to that page. Have a look. This page is github.com. You would have to just go give your password over here, whatever the password was, and basically at the end of the day, a connection would have been created like I have already created over here. This is step number one. You have to create a connection which is basically working on the specific application. Once that part is done, next becomes the easy part or the difficult part based on how your understanding of code pipeline actually is. Process is going to be extremely easy. Pay attention, this complete thing will end exactly or less than 5 minutes. If you skip anything, no worries, you can always go and have a look at the videos. Also, pipeline CI/CD is like that. You go, you have multiple things to do, but process is pretty straightforward. The pipeline job is pretty straightforward. Now, what is pipeline? What do I mean by that? Basically, let's go and create one pipeline and you will understand yourself. Just remember that right now over here, Beanstalk is there. And right now over here on port 5000, nothing is working because I haven't created anything inside Beanstalk. We'll keep that in mind. Okay. Over here on 5000, nothing is there. Let's start. First step, click on create pipeline, name it. I am naming it pipeline 10. Okay, it is using the default location for my specific build. Like you do npm install, it will download some packages, node modules. It will go to this location. Next, whatever key is there, it would use the default key for encryption. Over here, source provider, in my case, I have already created a connection with GitHub. This is my connection. Repository that I have taken is simple node server, if you remember. So I would go and just select simple node server. Branch in my case is main only. Okay. Click on next. Now build provider. So where do you want to build it? I can take code build also. I can take Jenkins also. Jenkins, I would be telling you inside a different class only where I do talk about Jenkins. Right now, I will select code build. Code build inside the region, same region obviously, because my pipeline is in North Virginia, I am choosing the region of North Virginia. Next, what will actually happen over here, that is dependent on the specific project. So what do I mean by the project? In this case, I would have to go and create a specific project for me. So I click over here on create project. And once I do this over here, I would have to go and give a name of this project. Please don't be confused. This also opens up, looks like the same page. This is known as a popover or a pop-up. So in this case, I would go and give the name of a project, something like server temp, let's say. Okay. Next, I am taking my specific image of Amazon Linux 2 and standard and the specific version of image. So what is going to happen over here is, see, when you were doing Docker, when you did Docker CMD, you were doing something as npm install, right? Where is that npm install working? Inside some specific base image. So on the top, you gave something like from node 10, node 12, node 14, 16, 18, whatever it was. And it was all working on a specific base Docker image. This image is that only. AWS has to go and do various amount of installation. It has to run a specific package. It has to run some specific Linux command. Where are those commands actually created? The answer is it is inside whatever image you are creating. In my case, the image happens to be Amazon Linux 2. That's it. Now it is going to go and create the image on this specific version over here. Next is what it should do. So if you remember inside my Docker, the name of the command was npm install, right? Same thing I will give here also, npm install. That's it. It will automatically go and give a npm install. And then whatever bundle is there, it will basically start by npm start. Want the CloudWatch logs, you can do that. Give the name. If you want S3 log, give that, give the name of that specific bucket. That's it. I do not want the logs as of now because my logs are automatically inside Beanstalk. So I will click on continue to code pipeline. Once you do this, this pop-up, whatever was there will automatically close. Okay, if everything is good. It will automatically close, and over here it should start giving you the name of the project. This step is important. People generally, those who don't work on code pipeline, here is where they mess up actually. It should automatically come. This is coming via a pop-up over here. Next step, where do you want to deploy it? Multiple things are there. We have talked about multiple things like ECS we have done, S3 inside website we have done, ECS via load balancer we have done, EKS also we have done. Over here, we want to go and choose Elastic Beanstalk because this is the thing that we did not do till now. So click on Elastic Beanstalk. Here, it will tell you the name of the server. This one, and environment is server 10 environment. Click on next, and if everything is good, click on create pipeline. Eventually what is going to happen is over here inside this specific address, you should start to see a deployment coming up. Hold on, let it get completed first of all. Ideally what will happen is now it will go and do three things. First, it will go to the source. Source basically means it will go to my github.com. Over here inside this repository, inside the repository of this, it would go create a connection, get all the code. By the way, the commit ID should be 10 hours ago. So we should see the same thing over here also. What is the commit ID? 2526. Go and have a look at the commit ID. What does it say? Last this characters, what does it say? This is the commit ID over here. Okay. This one. 2526. It is also saying 2 or 21EE2526 if you want to see 21EE2526. So at least looking at this, you know that the connectivity has been done. Okay, fine. So if the connectivity has been done, it means that some part of the pipeline is running. So why it is important? Because the pipeline might fail at any point of time. This is an interview question also. What happens if a pipeline actually fails? In that case, how do you see? Your answer is simple. I go to the logs. But the log should also tell you know where it failed. Like I'm pretty sure I have done a mistake over here and deploy. So it is going to fail. I will have to change it to source artifact, which I did not do. Let it happen. But eventually, once it becomes red, we will go and see that specific stage of the pipeline. So this complete is a pipeline. So what it is going to do? Go and take the specific code from GitHub. Step one, go and do a build. Build means it would go and do a npm install. It will download the packages or the bundle, whatever it is there. And once it is there, it will go and deploy it to Beanstalk. So like I told, means it was pretty much understood that I had did a mistake over here. It is telling you name of the artifact bucket. Okay. So what I would do, but anyhow, build is done. Okay, which means npm install was happening properly. Here artifact I have not given, so let's fix that. So this became red, no? So I know that this is the reason why it actually did not work. By the way, this also wouldn't have worked because deployment didn't happen. So it did not work, fair enough. Let's click on edit, go to the specific stage, go to the specific pipeline. Here it should be source artifact, that's it. Click on done, click on save. And once that is done, click on release and let's wait. So it will repeat all the steps. Basically get a connection from GitHub, then go and do a build. Now don't be confused that this is green, this is red. Have a look over here. This is green, this one is done. This one is still happening. So that is why blue. This is not failed. This hasn't happened only in the new sprint. So this one hasn't happened only. So don't get confused by the coloring. The pipeline coloring is like that. Just see which stage is happening. So if this is happening, no, means previous one has happened. This is happening. So wait for this blue one to be done. Once this is done, then the next stage will be decided if it is actually completed or not. At this time, it should be completed also. It's still in progress, but at least these two were done. They were done earlier also. Now let's just wait to see. And anyhow, if it is there, no, it should start coming up. Okay, it came up. So over here, this automatically came up. This is still working, but at least we know that our pipeline is working, right? So let it happen. Let's go to the server so that I can tell you what exactly is the advantage of pipeline. So the pipeline over here says deployment is in progress. Good for us. But we know at the end of the day, deployment has been done. Why it is taking time? Because it has to go and do multiple things inside that specific beanstalk. Let it get completed. Actually, in a pipeline, this concept is there. Same thing I would tell you inside GitHub also. Same thing I will tell you inside GitLab also using Terraform. So basically the same thing, whatever deployment you want to do, that will get completed even before the pipeline gives you a notification that the deployment has actually completed or not. So if you go directly to that specific application, it will help you in understanding. But any which ways, the deployment is done. It went into succeeded stage over here, which is green, good for us. But anyhow, we understood that this was already done, isn't it? Now the beauty of pipeline. I am closing everything. Just the endpoint is there over here. Okay. Assuming if I go and change anything over here. Now, what I'm going to change over here, it says change to. I am going to remove this change to, and I would only say this page should be visible. So I go to my application over here. I click on edit. I remove this change to and commit. And I will say, let's say this time I removed the change to, commit changes. Beauty of pipeline is you would see automatically it would go take the code from your GitHub via the connection. It would have automatically triggered the pipeline. Pipeline will automatically do a npm install and it would automatically go and deploy to your specific beanstalk. What is going to happen eventually is that this change to is going to go off and it would only tell you these things. Another 1 to 2 minutes, depending on how much time it took last time for me to do the deployment. Same it is going to do here also. The only difference is this time you don't have to do anything. Taking a classic example, if I had to go and do this inside my Kubernetes, I would have to go and do a Kubernetes apply or I would have to release a change. Take the specific Docker image, do a pull, then go and run the manifest deployment is done. Same thing inside my classical servers. If I had to do, I had to go and take a change. Let's say I decide to go and do a clone. Done. Code is running. Next time a change is done, I go and do a git pull and then I restart my services. Then again, it is done. Basically, what has to be done is each time a change in the code or in the repository happens, someone has to go and manually make a change. They have to pull the latest code by whatever mean it is. It can be Docker image. If it is a manifest file, it uses a Docker image. If it is a specific GitHub code working on-prem or VM or EC2, in that case, they have to go and do a pull and they have to restart the service. The beauty of pipeline is you don't have to do any such thing. Pipeline will automatically build and automatically deploy. While I was talking about it, 2 minutes have already passed almost, which means if I refresh now, pay attention over here, it says change to. We will keep that in mind. As per my code now, change to should not be there. It should be updated to my specific, that change to should be gone also, right? Over here, it should just give me something like this. Let's go and refresh the page and you would see it is automatically gone. It says that the page should be visible. One more test just to confirm if it is actually working. So over here, what I have done inside the server of Node.js, if you remember, I also gave something like /home, right? Over here, if I go and give something like /home, it should go and give, this is homepage, hello all and good morning. Let's go and modify this. So over here, I would say, uh, This page was added by AWS Code Pipeline. And let's give only this much and commit changes. And over here, I will go and say modify the home page content. Done. So now what is happening is I am just going for my specific home over here. Okay. If I go for a specific home right now, it only says hello all and good morning. If everything that we have said is true and we understand it also now, just for a simple test, it should automatically go and say this page was added by AWS Code Pipeline automatically. So what is happening in the background is the pipeline would be triggered. So some basic things. One, a pipeline has to be triggered. First of all, what is a pipeline? A pipeline is nothing but a set of instructions which would be executed when some specific event occurs. There are various ways by which a pipeline can be triggered. One way you already saw, I did a mistake. I went to pipeline, I clicked on release changes. That was me manually triggering the pipeline. Or if I create a pipeline, I can choose to trigger it manually. One. Second, it can happen via a specific cron job also. So if you remember AWS events bridge, Lambda, SDK pipeline. So basically via events bridge, which will trigger Lambda, where Lambda for a specific function, either Boto or Python, Boto, Python, same thing, or Node.js, whatever way you want, multiple languages are there. You can trigger a pipeline or you can run a pipeline yourself also via some specific scheduled jobs. Two. Third thing is via some specific action. This is you taking the action yourself. What do I mean? A change happened inside my specific GitHub repository. AWS via the connection was able to understand that an event was triggered, and via that specific event, AWS automatically went and triggered the pipeline. This is the pipeline that you actually want to go and see also. So once the pipeline has been triggered, by the way, again, while I was speaking, almost 2 minutes have passed, which means if I go back and refresh the page over here, right now it only says this, but if I refresh, it says this page was added, which means the new deployment actually occurred. Going back to my AWS account, here, this you can always go to your pipeline history to understand how is your pipeline actually performing. It is telling you that's the pipeline. Click over there inside pipeline 10 and just pay attention to this specific thing. What I generally do is inside this repository, to my developers, I would always say, please go and add a meaningful commit. Because if it is something like update index.js always, no, it won't understand. So what I do is, like I said, no, modify the homepage content. So in this case, I don't even have to go and ask them, because over here no, it says modified the homepage content, modified. So I know that the latest thing is only going through. Assuming if I did not want that, no worries. This commit ID is itself good for me. 77E13AOP. So if you go over here, this one, 77E13AOP. That thing is also telling me. So basically, this is how the pipeline actually worked. If you want to see what actually is happening inside that, you can click on the specific execution and it will tell you all the steps. So in this case, whatever things you did, whatever actions were there, it will tell you eventually what it was doing. So if you want to know that where are the artifacts, it goes inside your S3. And the artifacts would be inside your specific bucket, whatever you have configured inside your specific pipeline. So that way also you can see, if you want to see all the history, you can click on history and whatever pipeline it ran, it is telling you. So basically the changes that we did was, first time we did with the artifact, which was a problem. So next time we triggered it manually, in which it started showing me the homepage thing. Then I made it homepage, and then I modified the homepage as in dashboard page, and then I modified the homepage. So total of 4 executions have happened. All of it happening automatically via something known as a webhook. That webhook is nothing but, like I told you, via the specific connection. So right now, connection is with Bitbucket, GitHub, or GitHub Enterprise Server. It is not via GitLab, but eventually AWS is introducing GitLab also. So right now, if you click, nothing is coming up. It is telling you that it is not any one of this, but shortly you should see GitLab also. And then basically our life becomes even more easier because all the integration is already present. Want to add any notification so that if a pipeline trigger happens, you want to get notified for that. This notify, create this, and then based on whatever events you want, whether it was succeeded or it failed, whether it is started, succeeded, all, it is multi-select. You can choose as many things. The only thing is, remember, it has to go to, it can go to Slack also, by the way. If you want Slack, it can go to Microsoft Teams also, or it can go to SNS topic as well. Depends on you, how you want to go and do it, how many notifications. So basically you get the automated notification telling if your pipeline deployment was successful or it failed. More important in DevOps, because if in case it fails, you might want to take some action on it. So that's basically about your AWS code pipeline.